What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports back again with another one. Eddie Hearn, aka Eddie the Con Artist, who is the puff daddy of boxing promoters, always in the video. But surprisingly, he wasn't in no videos in the lead up to Canelo versus Canelo-Plant. Didn't do one interview to promote that fight. I wasn't even for sure he was there until he did an interview with IFL TV. Said, yeah, I was there. You know, I went to the dressing room and I was hanging out with Canelo and we went out to eat and, you know, basically there to support my friend. But if you part of Team Canelo, you're supposed to be promoting the fight. But guess what? He didn't want to help Canelo sell that fight. He didn't want the fight to take place in the first place. He was trying to get Canelo to fight Bivol on the zone. Canelo and his team reneged on that. You know, after the first round of negotiations with Canelo-Plant fell through due to the sabotagery, if that's a word, by Eddie Hearn, the fight fell through for September, and then he tried to push Dimitri Bivol as opponent for Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez said, hell no, I told you I wanted to make history. I wanted to be the first ever undisputed champion, the first ever undisputed Latino champion, the first ever undisputed at 168 pounds. He was trying to be in a legacy-defining fight. You fighting a Dimitri Bivol who's been inactive, don't speak no English, and you fighting on an obscure app in the zone. That fight wasn't going to generate near the interest that Canelo and Plant generated on Showtime pay-per-view. Make no mistake about it. So Eddie Hearn, basically, Eddie Hearn was you're supposed to be a promoter, man. Even though you ain't the lead promoter, if you part of his team, you're supposed to be involved in this event. You weren't involved in this event. Hopefully Canelo saw all this transpire and he know not to deal with you anymore, especially if he's not fighting on your promotional show. He needs to basically tell you to stay in the UK, man. You're going to come out here and do this, man. You should have stayed over there in the UK, or you should have went on over here, came out here and promoted the Jojo Diaz, Devin Haney fight and gone, jumped on that plane, went back to the UK, man, because you was incognito, man. You're supposed to help promote this fight. This is a pay-per-view fight. And Eddie Hearn knows this. That's why he didn't want to do no interviews. Because if he get in there and do an interview and promote the fight and sell the fight and, oh, this is undisputed and Canelo-Plant is undefeated, he's a naturally bigger guy, this, that, and the third, he believes that'll help promote the fight and that'll help the pay-per-view buyers. And he's not trying to help PBC sell one pay-per-view buy. That's why he didn't do no interview. One of the reasons why he didn't do no interview. So Eddie Hearn doing Eddie Hearn type of things, didn't promote the fight. Now he's back over there in the UK promoting Derek Chisora versus Joseph Parker. That's a fight that he's promoting. He's the lead promoter. He likes to be the head honcho. He don't want to play second fiddle to nobody. And he's been at war with the PBC for a while now. It goes back to when he got that $1 billion DAZN deal and he came over here thinking he was going to be able to fleece some of Al Hayman fighters. That was not the case. And he's held a grudge against Al Hayman and his fighters since then. See, Eddie Hearn could have easily came down here and, talked with Jamal Charlo, ran up on him and said, hey, Jamal, man, when you going to fight Boo Boo Andrade, one of my fights? We can make it happen. He could have been down here networking, trying to set fights up. Getting in front of the cameras, talking to Jamal Charlo, getting in front of the cameras, talking to Errol Spence Jr. Say, hey, man, I got a young welterweight on the rise, man, in Conor Ben. I think maybe in a couple of fights, man, we can have a big fight over there in the UK. You can come over there and fight him in the UK, and I can offer you the sun, the star, and the moon, man. You get a hot, big-time payday. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be hard for you to get a big payday in your next fight because the Ugas fight fell through as the WBA announced that they weren't going to allow that to happen because they're looking to, shrink their belts. Basically be a one belt per division type of organization. Stop having all these belts in each weight classes. So they didn't allow that fight to transpire. You don't want to give Keith Thurman the time of day. So who you going to fight? You take care of your IBF mandatory against Abagava? That fight's not a pay-per-view fight. So you might be looking for a big pay-per-view fight sometime next year. And I got a fight over here in Conor Ben that I think can make it happen. Networking. Errol Spence not coming over there to fight him in no UK. But you could have tried to sell him on the fact that, hey, I got a good fight guy out here. His dad was a big name in boxing. We can make that fight happen down the line. You're supposed to be down here networking, Eddie. Not just to be there for Canelo, but to try to set fights up for your own fighters. You got Boo Boo Andrade in another embarrassing fight. Another fight that don't mean nothing. Boo Boo Andrade's got to be one of the guys with the worst resumes and high skill set in the history of boxing. He's got one of the highest skill sets in boxing, but he has one of the worst resumes in boxing. Has fought absolutely nobody. You know, you want to talk about Jamal Charlo ducking Andrade, but Jamal Charlo has a way stronger case to fight Canelo than Andrade. Andrade came to his last fight and tried to run up on Canelo, and Canelo got him thrown out, and Canelo said he will never fight the guy because he's a boring fighter. Yeah, no, you're a boring fighter. Floyd Mayweather Jr. was a boring fighter, but he had the resume, he had the cachet, he promoted himself. Boo-boo ain't done that. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But Eddie Hearn was a no-show at the Canelo-Plant event. He was there, but he really wasn't there. Didn't help promote the fight at all, didn't talk about the fight, didn't do any interviews. He said the PBC pretty much didn't want him there. He out here trying to play the victim card, basically saying that I wasn't wanted there and they slammed doors in my faces. So I just, you know, stayed to myself and didn't want to cause no waves, and that's what I did. That's not what happened. He didn't want to help to promote the fight because he didn't want the fight to take place in the first place. He wanted Bivol Canelo for the zone. He's still trying to make the zone big here in America. That's what Eddie Hearn wanted, and he's going to try to push Bivol for the fight coming up in May. As Canelo stated after the Canelo-Plant win, that he's going to come back in May. He needs to get a little R&R. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But Eddie Hearn, a.k.a. Eddie the Con Artist, I should have known, man. I was like, man, I can't wait to Eddie show it, man. I want to see how he mix it up with Jamal Charlo, Errol Spence Jr. Gonna be there, mix it up with a couple of those guys, and he got a couple of fighters in those guys' weight classes that he possibly could set up some fights down the road. In particular, with the Boo-Boo Andrade and Jamal Charlo fight, you can set that fight up for early next year. And the winner of that would be in prime position to get Canelo in May. You could set that fight up then, and then in regards to Conor Ben, that could be a fight for Errol, you know, at the earliest, late 2022. Conor Ben gets the win against Chris Algieri in December. He fights David Avanesian in the first quarter of 2022, gets the win. You know, if you feel he's ready, and you can get Errol Spence over the fight for Eddie and Conor Ben, they would have to get Errol Spence to come over there to the UK. That's the best bet for them to have a chance to win that fight. You had the fans behind you. Errol Spence Jr. has already came over there and fought Kell Brook, took his belt, so Errol might want to come back over there if you offer him the bag. You're going to have to offer him the bag. Just like you overpaid for Chris Martin, you will have to overpay for Errol Spence Jr. to come over there and fight Conor Ben and put up his IBF and WBC titles. That could be a big, big fight over there in the UK in late 2022. You could have been down here networking those fights, setting the stage for those fights. Those fighters will have to fight Errol Spence Jr. and Jamal Charlo. But Eddie Hearn let his ego come into play. He's still upset that the PBC was able to get Canelo over there for the Canelo-Plant fight. He couldn't get that fight on the zone, or he couldn't set the fight up with Bivol on the zone. He was upset. And he's been upset with PBC since the whole $1 billion the zone deal. And he was in his inability to come over here and snatch any of the top fighters that fought under the PBC. So let me know your thoughts about Eddie Hearn incognito at Canelo-Plant fight. Do you think Canelo, if he fights Charlo, should tell Eddie, if you're not going to come over here and really be part of Team Canelo and help promote my fight, you need to stay over there in the UK. And if I want to do business with you, I'll call you and we'll set something up at that time. But right now, I'm with the PBC. I'm doing a fight with them. Just stay over there, man, if you're going to come over here and do that. And try to play the victim card like Stephen Espinosa and Al Hayman. They want you around, and they basically locked the doors and told the people, security, don't let him in, and this, that, and third, where you making the scene. You was there. You was in the dressing room. You went out to eat after the fight. You was there. You sat in the back. You made sure you weren't going to sit. Think about Eddie Hearn. He made sure he didn't even get no seat up front where you could see him. He must have been in the hallway in the back somewhere watching the fight. Because he wasn't nowhere in the camera. He wasn't trying to help Showtime out. He wasn't trying to help the PBC out. And that's a damn shame, man, because you said you was part of Team Canelo. He's your friend. You basically his advisor / manager, and you wasn't acting like it at all, Eddie Hearn. And that's a damn shame. But that's Eddie Hearn doing Eddie Hearn type of things. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Let me know your thoughts about Eddie Hearn and what he pulled off this past weekend, man. You think it was justified for him doing that, or do you think Canelo Alvarez needs to tell him if he does another fight without him in the PBC, to just stay over there in the UK, man, and stay over there, and I will talk to you at a later date if I wants to fight a Bivol or somebody like that. Let me know your thoughts, and subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend, and I'll holler.